Swastiastu. Hello everyone. Okay, I'm Nivarnatasari. I will continue the reading novel. The title is The Beast by Shallcross, Part 9. Okay, let's go. I just went to meet her. I told myself, just speak to her. I had spans at the enormity of the wrongs I knew I was about to commit. I should do nothing. I thought I should move from these rooftops. I will stay here, and when it grows light, he will leave, and never ever know there is a beast here. But even I from city's council in my mind. I saw again the first trace of years I had lived here alone, and my heart quiets at the prospects of the next incalculable eons of isolation. I would like the face. I could I could no I couldn't go back to my solitary life. I would rather die. I took a step towards the edge of the roof. A sudden sense of government strikes my eyes down to my garden below, still lying in deep shadow. A ripple of violence downs my back, lifting my fur. Something harsh was strange there, something indistinct and spreading that raised and trance. I strained my eyes against the glooms. The new suns had not yet disappeared. My sensitive sounds touched the diamond scans of new magic a moment before my senses were overwhelmed by the perfume of roses. It was happening exactly as I had wished, even though I had tried my hardest not to. I turned away from the edge of the roof and began to make my way back to quarters. Already the path from the front door, my house to the ward's iron gates was past a walled garden, grown out of nothing in the moments between dawn and morning. But just but not just any garden, this one's overflowed with glorious roses. The door stand distinctly ajar, if he wants roses for his daughter. He would have his choice, but at the prince, and just in case he didn't venture into my roses arbor, plenty of perfect blooms spiled generously off the stone walls to hang nothing above the path. At exactly the right height for a man's mounts on horseback. I walked off my trepidatious from the rest of my mind and dressed with care. I just went to meet her. Most likely her father would see only a fearsome space, but on the slim chance he would look past my sapphic face. He might see I dressed elegantly as any man. Would it make him think better of me? Would he really to his daughter? My it is he fears a little. Guilty I chose his defaulted saddlebags to be filled with all manner of fine things, including a parcel of good foods appropriate to eat while traveling. I flashed of wines and a a jewel goblet into drink from. It was a small reparation from the distress I was about to inflict upon him and his family. Perhaps if see is I am generous, I include a great deal of money and presents for all three doctors. I had his clothes replaced with much finer apparel, and his horse livery improved upon. His own clothes gave me a choice for speculations, as they were poor, simple garments that had obviously since much wear. This was at just with her his behavior of the previous evening. When I was ready, I made my way to the curtains gallery overlooking an entrance hall. My guest was still fast asleep in his chamber, clearly exhausted from his ordeal, but it was not long before he awoke to find a steaming bed and his new clothes lights out ready for him. Eventually, he appeared at the top of staircase and slowly made his way down. He was wearing his new clothes, but still looked nervous and uncomfortable. The care at the hands of the table drew himself out to welcome him, and he went to it and put his hands on the hind car's back before he sat down to the meal waiting him. However, he turned and said to the room, "Again, I thank you. You have been more than generous, and I'm sure I would have died last night had you not brought me into your home. I'm overwhelmed by your gift of clothing." He stopped and looked confused for a moment. "I have no way of repaying you. You have my most sincere thanks." He took his hat. I sank back in my own chair, feeling guilty and vulnerable. My guest had little alternative to be except my hospitality. Now I would take advantage of his for his daughter and his desire to bring her what he said as for. My guest ate hurriedly and soon finished his meal. I silently wished that after he encountered with me, luck and good fortune would him for the rest of his days. I was surprised then by the seconds of new magic drifting past, and I sincerely hope this means my wish would become reality. I left my curtains gallery to the sounds of my guest expressing more thanks and taking his leave of empty room. I made my way to the rose above and white. It was not long before I heard the brisk sounds of house on the path. Why would the traveler not be eager to return his family as quietly as possible? When he came around the bench and saw the roses, however, the rose beat slow to awoke. "I would see him now from my hiding place." The rose passed me and ran to the horse at the door to the rose garden. My, he murmured so quietly I could barely hear him. I had given up hope. He rode forward until he was level with a surprise of perfect crimson blossoms growing for a branch overhanging the path. He reached up and pulled, pulled them towards his face. Breathing in the rich perfumes, the horse was again having picked up my skin and fighted, blowing nervously. The traveler was too entrapped by the rose to pay it much heed. However, I held my breath, smiling softly to himself. His ears touched the surprise to heavy bosoms until he paused once to quite open. Gently, gently, his gloves finger found the base of his slender stem and snaps it away. With a deafening roar, I leapt into the middle of the path behind him. The horse spun around and confronted with the signs of me, set up screaming in the terror. The man, taken by surprise, was thrown from his seat and fell to the ground. The rose fell into the path between us. The man looked up and turned white when he saw what had frightened his animal. Okay, that's all reading for enjoyment. I will continue next video. Okay, thank you.
udah kemana-mana dan kan